Welcome back to our Craftsman oil burning tractor project. I got my parts in from Amazon. If you can pronounce it, Bioni? I don't know. Let's Fix It Auto Parts. New, made in China. It's a head gasket set. Looks like they give you two head gaskets. I don't know if it's multiple engines. I don't know. You get a valve cover gasket. Looks like just like one valve seal. Looks like intake exhaust gasket. And so this was like $7.95 or $97. So cheap enough. Let's get started. I think what we got is got out a couple tools. I put down a couple mats here, put my knees on, and Tiger took right over. So he's out here helping me, right? You helping? He got nice spots, don't he? Look at his colors. So he's real helpful. But what I think we got is when I was mowing, I was bagging leaves. I took them down and dumped a pile of leaves, got on, went again. And the leaves are really heavy right now on the ground. That's why I want to get this thing together. But the slant of the yard down there, it's quite steep. It's not 45 degree, but it's pretty steep. And I noticed that when I was heading east, which would lean the exhaust downhill, it would start smoking like crazy. When I turned and went back up the other way, the smoke would clear up. So what I think happened, and I hope I'm right, it's not that much money here, but I think what happened is a head gasket blew right here which side it is, probably one on either side. I don't recall the design of this engine, but I think it blew the head gasket into the crankcase. And so what's happened is when the piston's coming back down, it's sucking oil up in there and burning it. That's what I'm thinking. But let's tear this apart and see what we got. The exhaust is an H6. Fits in there the best. They don't fit great. I think we'll take the spark plug wire out of the way. It looks like the rest of these are 3/8, right? Maybe even the head bolts. Yeah. Everything's 3/8 on here. The plug is a Champion. It looks like there might be a crack in the muffler. Maybe we'll look at that. But we'll take the muffler off. We've got to take the intake off. That's plastic. That's 3/8. So Tiger's help here. We'll get started. Use one of these tools. Get that bracket out of the way. I don't think this is going to take too long. There. Tiger moved. Now I can get in here. So we'll get this wire out of the way. I think before we remove anything else, we'll take like the intake off. And some of these bolts we should check because they're going to be different. Like short ones in the bracket. Sometimes it's good to put them right back in. You know where they go. The head bolts are probably different design. And then the valve cover, they're going to be short ones. So just do this carefully so we're not wrecking the joint, you know. And that's like a rubber O-ring. The breather hose come off. That's okay. And then, like I said, we might put our bolts right back in. I'm hoping I don't find anything serious on this because it's a 2012. You know, once you get up in age, you don't want to put good money after bad, you know. So if I'm spending $8 on this, it's probably worth it. But if I gotta buy a cylinder head or do a ring job or something, I'm probably not interested. Now these exhaust bolts are obvious. We don't have to worry about that. Yeah, look at this, just sits down in the muffler. So I wonder if we could quiet it up by welding it. This just pulls right out, just slip fit. You see that's been leaking. I don't think they come welded anyway. They're almost like a press fit probably. I always thought mufflers were very loud on lawnmowers. I'd like them a lot quieter. I'm not interested in an electric mower too much because of the size of our lawn, but let's see how well you can see anything so far. Not too good probably. Get you down here a little closer. We'll learn this together, right? So we'll take off the valve cover, see if we can learn anything under here. I threw a rag underneath here so I don't get oil drippings. And it's starting already, so that's good. Small valve cover bolt. See if this comes off, I gotta beat it off. Try not to wreck it and rip it, you know. Is it too late for that? Just in case the other one's not the right one, you know, because this didn't leak. Oh, careful on it. Well, I thought the oil was cleaner than that. So we might put that in the parts washer or whatever, clean that up. A little filth under here. I was going to pressure wash this, but I didn't. I don't know why I didn't, but I was going to. Alright, so the valve train's on this side. Shouldn't say the valve train, but the push rods are on this side. We got a little torque screw in there and a nut to adjust the valves. And the intake is up here. Let's see. This will be the exhaust valve here, I guess, on top. Because what I'm wondering is, see, this is aluminum push rod right here. And this is a darker color, so this is steel. They go through a square plastic guide. So I'm not sure. Like I said, we're exploratory here. We're trying to find out what's wrong with it. It looks like I can loosen these right up, or I can leave them alone and pull the head off as a unit and deal with them after. I want to check the see if we're on top dead center or not. See which valve's open, which isn't. So while that valve's moving, this is free. We've got a little bit of play. That's good. When it was idling, it didn't make any clattering sound. Now when that one's open, this one should be loose. They both have about the same amount of play. Kind of feels like the the intake is a little bit tighter, which should be probably because the exhaust would heat up more. So it's going to smoke when I start it because it's leaking pretty good. So the rag probably shouldn't have been down there. It should have been right up in here. This is an old Habitat for Humanity shirt I kind of destroyed on the job. I volunteered to help build a house. Put in like 400 hours, volunteer on Saturdays. Did quite a bit of work there. It was kind of cool. Did it with the BOCES carpentry students. Alright, so now we'll just pull the head off, I guess. I'm not even going to mess with the spark plug. It doesn't seem to be in the way. We can probably just pop them off all the way around, and when we torque it up, we got to look up the specs and do from the inside, work our way out, probably every other. I'll see if there's a sequence and a torque for that, and then looks like we can get to them all. Looks like they're put this up on high, I guess. And this one's kind of close to the spark plug, so maybe we should take the spark plug out. Work our way around here. Can't quite see, but all right, now is this the weak link? There's a head bolt here and a head bolt here, nothing through here, unless there's one inside, which I don't see. That's kind of a poor design, isn't it? That's a long space. Let's look on the head gasket and see. Hopefully we got the right head gasket, right? Not sure it is right. I guess it is, because that's a long span. That's a design flaw right there. You've got a head bolt, head bolt, head bolt all the way around real tight, and then this portion of the cylinder there's nothing, and then you got one out here and out here. They should have had one here, or they should have had one right here would be best. That's probably where it's blown, because if the thing still runs and it smokes, that means it has compression. But if it's blown here, what we didn't try was here on the oil dipstick of taking that out while it's running to see if it's blowing a lot of bypass through it. That would make sense. Probably where it's blown is right there. That's a poor design. That's Swifto. Let's keep going here. We can always make things better. But that's a common sensor. Why on a head gasket would you go for 4 inches with nothing there? That's the weak point. Yeah, I think I better take this spark plug out, because this shouldered bolt's going to touch the plug, and I don't want to crack the porcelain on it. And that looks to be maybe a 5/8. Let's see if I got one in this socket set here. We'll get the plug out because it runs good. We don't want to destroy it. This is a Champion. Kind of looks like a clone Champion. I'll show you. They make things similar, but not the same. I didn't pull the plug to see how much oil was on it. There's a lot of oil on that. Whoa, this side's dark carbon, but this side's oil. So that tells me it's pulling a lot of oil in. And it's not wet, like I said, all the way around. So if the plug sits in like this, probably the bottom of the cylinder, and that's where the oil's gathering. So we got to clean it or get rid of it. But see the clone part I was talking about? It says Champion. It don't look like it's got the red. Don't they have a red stripe? But see the Briggs emblem. RC12YC. No, RC12YX. That's a Briggs logo, I think. It might be the original plug, guys. Can you imagine how many hours are on this thing? It's got to be about 1,000 hours on this since 2012. We've got about an acre and a half, I think, we're mowing and then bagging and other projects we do. Alright, so now I can get this head bolt out. I thought I put a plug in this before, maybe not. Alright, is this the last bolt? I think so. So let's make sure the head don't just fall on the ground here. Yeah. So the valves are going to push it on off in there. So we got to hang on to her. Let's see what we can find. The push rods might come out. Remember, the aluminum's on the bottom. I don't want to break the head gasket. Okay. Well, look how much oil's in the cylinder. And you always check your push rod, see if it's bent. But it ran so good, I know we don't have that problem. And the aluminum's on the bottom, so that would be the intake on the bottom. Okay, so here's the back of our head. The gasket did rip, so that's a bummer. Right, see the carbon coming around. Right in here, don't look too good. Right there, that last inch. Set this out of the way. Got a second rag here. We'll come back and look at that. I want to take a look at this head gasket. Get out of the way because we got nice sunshine burning my back right now. There's a locator pin. Leave that in there. That's a locator pin. Look at all the oil in the cylinder. Of course it's going to smoke. See if we can get this off without destroying it. Right here, there's rust. See that? I wanted to see if it was blown. It looks like it is right there. You see that? There's material coming down and then no material. And that would go right into the crankcase and suck that oil right out of there. So I think we're on the right track here. Wrong train, right? Right track, wrong train. Let me take this gasket. I'll get a gasket scraper or something. Get that off in there. Then I'll take a little brush wheel or something, clean this up. Take an air nozzle, blow everything out so we don't get any crap inside the engine. And then probably ought to wipe this out, get the debris out of it. Take the piston, bring it to top dead center. Like that, while I'm cleaning it. That way I'm not getting into the cylinder wall. This doesn't move at all. Oh, there's a little bit. See that? Not a huge amount of movement, but I guess I'll take it back down. Now, looking at this side of the cylinder wall, I can see crosshatch, the X's. I don't see any scratching or scarring, but we'll clean that up and get another look at it. Leave the piston up top so we don't get any debris in there. Clean up my mess, get my head bolts out of here. Look at the push rods, clean up the back of clean up the cylinder head, and then we'll come back and look at this mess. I've got I don't know if I brought it, I did bring it out. I've got just a simple little brush wheel I want to put on the drill. I think that might be good enough. I've got some Scotch-Brites that go in that little hair grinder thing I can use. And then we'll inspect everything. You see there's a ball on the end of the exhaust push rod, and then this is kind of a weird shape on the end of this. So we'll come back on and check this out. Well, the head gasket there just fell right off, so that's easy. I just clean these off with some old rags. I put an old sock inside the crankcase so it doesn't get debris in there. Now let's just go and clean this up here. Before I do, can you see that little black spot? This gasket comes around and it all looks the same except right there. There's a little black spot that heads in. It's exactly centered and it lines up on the gasket in that same spot. So I think it was right there. It blew. Let's see what this looks like. And want to use something that's not going to harm the aluminum, so I don't want to push very hard. See if this will work. Yeah, it's not hurting anything. And if the gasket was blown to the outside where this rust is, the rust might have been just water coming through the hood, landing on this portion of the engine, you know, because the hood has louvers in the top, which is kind of foolish. I should have had them on the side. But it could be just water that sat there, and it wouldn't burn oil, wouldn't smoke blowing out here. It just have low compression. We'll get this all cleaned up, see how she looks here. Push that sock out of the way a little bit. Old clothes work great, right? We don't have a bunch of shop rags. It could be that the cylinder head might be warped a little bit too, but I'm not gonna, I got stuck in the sock, guys. I put a sock, another sock over top of here, the intake, so I don't get any debris in there, because I don't want to get any dirt in there. Alright, here's after the cleaning. This thing looks brand new, guys. This is, I can even read the numbers on the piston. Got all the debris off, got it cleaned up. I didn't scratch the surface. It looks good. Let's turn the cylinder, get it down the bottom dead center, and then we'll give it a quick wipe. Look at the crosshatch on there. That cylinder's in awesome shape for 2012. Can you see that? There is no nicks. I can see the X's running both directions. So this thing is in awesome shape. So the head gasket was blown right there, and so like I said, it's a design flaw, because you know, every inch and a half you got a bolt. This one tends to get larger, and then this one is huge all the way over to there. So they should have made this casting bump out and have another bolt right there, and these things will last a lot longer. So we'll see how long the new one lasts. I'm going to clean the head up now, and we'll show you that. I think I'm just going to run the drill right on this also. See how it does, you know. It's not digging into the aluminum. I'll just clean this whole surface up. Kind of missed my vise. We got to get that bench together and get the vise back on it. I'd like to have some bench dogs too. That would be nice. And then, right there's that darker color. So I believe it went right through there. There's no nick or gouge there. It's just a weak point and no head bolt. Pretty sure that's the reason. And might have overheated because of the debris that got up in there. I'll get down in and clean all that out after the gasket gets off. I'll check the condition of these valves. It ran so good, and it did not use any oil all season. You know, none. So I don't have to add. I'm not going to do a valve job on it or nothing. There's other things that are wrong with the tractor as far as age, so we're on this budget thing, $8 right now. And now we're going to get down in the cylinder area. Probably not the right size tool for that. I got little Dremel cleaners I can use on it. I might put it right in a parts washer and clean it up. Doesn't have to get all the junk out. I just don't want like big carbon deposits and anything down near the valve seat. So I'll clean this up more. I want to stand up and get it up on the bench. Alright, as we saw, the cylinder bore, everything looks great. It's all cleaned up. Got nice cross hatching in there. Cleaned the top of the cylinder. We took our pins out, put them back in. I got a little oil dripping here, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll just wipe that out quick. And then I've got the cylinder head cleaned up as good as I'm gonna do. I threw it in the parts washer, but a little bit by the exhaust valve will build up, Everything else looks good. The valves are tight, they don't move. There's no burnt edges on them. The rockers, I loosen these up, are 5/8. Loosen these up a little bit so we can get our push rods back in. I took off these little caps right here. You don't want to lose them. The ports all look good. Don't see anything wrong here, guys. It was just a head gasket, I think. So there's no damage here, but I think it was blown right there. You can sort of see the telltale still. See that? And I think it's because of no bolt. So the intake is a large one, exhaust is a small one. The exhaust is on the top. So let's mount this back up. So we're gonna open up our, should have done this earlier, right? Open up our little parts kit here. Confirm that it's the right one, but this fits many series, so that's probably why there's two head gaskets in here. It's cheaper for them to throw you another gasket than to make a separate part number product, you know. So this, that is a valve seal. Got a little spring retainer on it. I probably could put that in. We set that right here for now. Let's see if these head gaskets are the same. Why they give you two of them, right? Let's see what we got. Yeah, they're different. So that's cool. That's all they do is they give you a multi-fit engine kit. So we'll compare it to the old one here. And we got this one, which is this bottom gasket. So this one we'll set aside. Make sure they match up. That's good to go. I'll put this up here on the pins. Locator pins. That looks great. Now we'll get out our head bolts. Make sure they're all the same length. I think they are. Should have done that before, right? They appear all the same. Yep. It doesn't matter the location, so we'll just set the head up here. On our locating pin. Make sure you don't drop your gasket off in there. That's the problem. Just hold that away. And then I looked up the specs on this. You know what I'll do is I'll just use a tool, run that head bolt in so it doesn't wiggle around. We'll run them all in like that. I looked up the Briggs spec, 220 inch-pounds on the head bolts. It doesn't say what sequence, so I would just say just go around, you know, do it a couple times. Which reminds me, I didn't bring out the torque wrench. We got to grab that. And then overall time-wise, this isn't much time on this. It's nice you can leave the engine in to do this work. Some of them you gotta pull the engine out because you can't get to the valve cover even. Alright, so they're all in. We go get a torque wrench, 220 inch-pounds. Got this cheap Harbor Freight here. See how accurate it is. I think I'll just go right around a circle. I got this set at 120. So we'll go around twice. I'd like to have one of them fancy ones that beep when they're accurate. Get all these torqued up. And I'll turn it up. I might even do 3 increments instead of 2. So I'll crank this up to, I don't know, 180. Let's see here, 160. These tools are so cheap. There's 180. We'll go around one more time here. Yeah, I wish I had another bolt on this side. Wouldn't have never happened to begin with. Gotta find the bolt here. It's beautiful out. This is our harvest. Fall, what do you call it? It's our Indian summer. The calm before the storm. I think on the 6th of November we're expecting snow. Alright, now I'm going to crank it all the way up to the 220 and then go around one more time here. Do it in the same order. And then I got to put this intake gasket on. They give me a paper one that might work. Looks like it'll work. But this has a rubber O-ring. I might put them both on there. I don't know. But it ran so good that there's no gasket problem there. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. This is that intake gasket, so this is probably a little better quality than the paper. Probably just reuse it. And the torque spec on this was like 7. I wrote it down, whatever it was. It's not very much. Plastic to aluminum. Let's see what it is here. intake. What is it? It's only like 7 foot-pounds or something here. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll hand check them. And then, now we're going to put our push rods in. The exhaust is on top, so we got to do the heavy one up top. Make sure you're bottomed properly. There's a little bit of wear on this edge where it goes through this plastic guide. Probably doesn't matter, but aluminum for the intake. Maybe I should have put that valve seal in there because they don't have a valve seal on the exhaust. They have a valve seal on the intake. If we're at top dead center, I could pop this off quick and put that on there. Otherwise, I should have done it before I took the head and put it on. So let me consider that. I know that gasket was blown right there, but it came with a valve seal. And this style, it's got a hard shell, so you just need a small socket and tap it on. Let me do a little research, see if I want to do that. It's probably too difficult to do it with a cylinder head on, and I should have thought of that better, but I didn't. So if we have to, we'll take the head back off, but I don't think that's the problem. We're going to put these little caps on the valve stems, take our rockers, see if they fit up here fine. This will tell us if our push rods are bottomed out properly. I checked the clearance on them, and it's intake is 3 to 5 thousandths, exhaust is 5 to 7 thousandths, so that sounds about right. So I'll probably do 4 and 6, put them in the center, but I'm just going to finger tight this now, and then I'm going to turn the engine over, and this will tell us if we have them in the right location. Here's our exhaust opening, here's our intake opening. Okay, so they're on. So now what we want to do is, now that our exhaust is open, you know, the intake is not open. So we'll do our intake first, and that's the closest tolerance, the 4 thousandths. I want to set that in there, turn the nut down. Now, and I want to turn this. There we go. Free that up a little. See, that's too tight. You want a slight drag. And then you want to hold this still. Tighten this nut up. Don't let it turn on you. And I'm doing this wrong. Let's redo that. Loosen that up. These only get torqued down to just a few. I looked at spec up tool. Turn this nut down. Get the proper drag on it. See where we're at here. A slight drag. See if turning this down locks it. Should. And then a little sloppy. We'll get this. We're learning. Loosen this up. Put our 4/1000ths in there. Oh, I can't get over this weather. It's awesome. Slight drag. Hold the nut from turning. Tighten up the bolt. That's better. Has a little drag. That feels about right. Now we're going to turn the engine over. Get the intake open. You know the exhaust is free. And we're going to do this one at 6/1000ths, right in the center of the 5 to 7. We're going to loosen this one up here like this. Then we're going to tighten up the knot until we get a slight drag. And we're going to lock this down. Get that tight. Let's check it. We got a slight drag. I can move it. So I think we're good. Now, confirm those are tight by cranking them up. We did. Now, double check them. Mr. Paranoid here, right? Make sure they're good. Put this back so they're both free. They said the way to tell if your cam's any good is look at the double bump on that. See that double bump? The cam seems to good. Alright, so they should both be free here, right? No. Back it up just a little. There we go. Now, we've got our gasket that's correct. I'm not going to put any Permatex goop on it. I've got it. I'm not going to do it. I don't think it's necessary. We're going to go ahead and put our valve cover gasket on like this. I did slip that breather hose back on. You got to remember to do that. Hi, squirrel. Kitties love it outside, especially in this weather. So, I guess the only mistake I've done so far is it gave me a valve seal and I didn't put it in. Why not? Let's see what the valve cover gasket. 5.2 foot-pounds. So not a whole lot here. And I'm not even going to register the 5.2 pounds. Just a little. You don't want to bend your cover. Okay, now we got our exhaust. The gasket looks pretty good still. We knew it was blowing up out of here. I have a feeling if you do weld that, this muffler is bolted into place, so there's no room for movement. So it'll probably crack again, so I probably won't be welding it. And this takes those two hex bolts. Come on, you're stuck here. Alright. So I'm not going to put the new gasket on because that's in good shape. It's not an important one, right? Find the right tool here. Can I reach it? There. I didn't look up the torque spec on this. Probably doesn't matter a whole lot, so I'll just hand tighten them. Probably around 15, 20 pounds. Not going to go anywhere. They have a lock washer on them. And the socket stuck. Okay, now we're going to do that bracket. Like, I believe it's 65 degrees out here. Not bad for October. Here's my 3/8 socket. A bracket. I'm loving it, but there's other projects I should be doing instead of engine repair when it's so nice out. I've got to get the gutters cleaned out. I got some gutter covers I want to put on. Do some more fixing because the ice does such damage in the wintertime. Alright, we're out of gasket parts, so that's good. So now, we're going to put the spark plug in. And I didn't do too much to it. I should put a new one in. RC12YX. But I guess I'll just put it back in. Because it did run good. I don't know if it'll clean up any. We could check the gap on it. Sometimes the electrode looks like it's on an angle. This is square. Just looks like it needs a new plug, so I'll look for one. It's not that important now because it's easy to get to. Remember the angle, it's not going uphill. And then, you know what, I think we can even fire it up before I finish putting it all together here. We ran it that way, why can't we run it again, right? I wish it was quieter, but like I said, I think if I welded around that, that would do it. This, goes under that. There we go. My spec sheet's blowing away. The wind picked up. Okay, so probably ought to blow this air filter out. We can do that, and then I'll probably blow out. Well, we'll put this thing back together, and then we'll fire it up and see how good it runs. Got a whole bunch of leaves that fell down there on that big, beautiful maple tree. So I want to get them cleaned up today. So what we have to do, got to remember, right? I did blow off the air filter already. We got to put the shroud cover on. We got to keep this shield in. We've got a gas tank cover thing, whatever that covers this. Probably helps pull fresh air. And then we got to put the hood clip on. What else is in here? You got this top cover, this cover. We got two side covers. Oh, we got our air cleaner cover, some bolts, miscellaneous. So let's get this going. Okay, I got the shroud on the engine cover. Then I've got the second shroud that goes for the air intake through the hood. I've got the hood on. I got the air cleaner cover, side covers, hood, and headlight wiring plugged back in. I have no extra parts. Let's go test this bad boy out. I need to mow some leaves. Alright, ready to fire it up, Taro. Fire it up. Probably should have fired it up before we put all the engine parts back together. See all that? This is all back. But we trust our work, right? I'm going to take you down where the problem started. It's a side hill where the leaves are. And it's kind of rough terrain down there, so this might smoke because we stirred up some oil out the front. Let's see what it does. I don't see any. That's cool. Remember, I mowed up here a couple days ago. Our leaves are almost gone. This maple, I don't even see one leaf on it. And then we got this large maple down here that's almost empty, so I can imagine what the ground looks like. If we keep after it, it doesn't get away from us, and then you get a rain on it, and then you got to rake them, you know. If I cut them up and bag them, works out good. Here they fall in, see them? There's kind of rough terrain and steep down here. Let's pay attention to see if this thing's going to smoke or not. Where we got into problem here. It's a side hill. See some of these rocks growing here? Better. Well, as you can see, a lot of leaves here, and well, that's all we are, is leaves up here in the woods, you know. So this is why I like a bagger. It's like a vacuum cleaner. Grind them up, bag them up, use them for mulch. I put them around the trees, recycle. This thing's running great, guys. No smoke. When I went on the side hill before, either the oil went to one side, whatever, and got sucked right into the intake valve and burn it. That's my guess. So we did blow a head gasket. It cost us $8 to fix it. A little bit of time, a little bit of learning curve. We adjusted the valves. That's probably a good thing. The engine sounds really quiet now. Pretty good runner. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next project.